Well, golf addicts, welcome to the Tour Junkies show for the RBC Canadian Open. And we got a fantastic show. I'm telling you, this is a show that's been a long time coming. It really has. It's me and Tim Anderson. Okay. Now, listen, I'm going to let Tim talk about himself here in a minute. All right. And he can talk about whatever he wants to talk about. But because we're gonna do a lot of things in this show, all right? We're gonna give you some betting picks, all right? First off, let me do this. Ground rules for this show, because this is different. I'm in charge, not DB. He's on vacation. He's doing his thing, all right? He's relaxing. And as I told Tim before we went live, this is what he does. David just throws it all at me. And so I gotta make things happen, and that's what we're gonna do. But here's a few ground rules, okay? All right, we're gonna talk bets. I'm going to give you some bets, all right? So picks are going to happen, all right? And I may or may not go in the right order. I don't know, okay? All right? Ad reads are going to happen, Tim, okay? Ad reads are going to happen. Now, people get all up in arms when we have too many ad reads. So here's the thing. I'll probably miss some stuff. I'll forget something. I'll forget, that I need to give some kind of promo code or something, and I just won't say it. But you know what? That you're just going to have to deal with that, okay? The other thing that's going to happen is a lot of laughs, and this is going to be different than the shows that we typically do. So while we're going to give the picks, Tim and I got a lot to discuss. All right, Tim, we got a lot of things that we need to talk about. We'll get in here to the RBC Canadian. We'll talk a little bit first off too about Victor Hovland winning at the Memorial. Tim, real quick, tell the folks a little about yourself. I know you're famous, so you got a lot of things, but just quickly. Tim Anderson, ladies and gentlemen.
I dispute that claim that I'm famous. People who know me from the Pat Mayo Experience and Pat Mayo's podcast. And the reason I'm on those podcasts, a lot like for those of you who are Simpsons fans, and remember that Homer got his job at the nuclear plant because he showed up the day it opened. He had no qualifications for it. He was just there on day one.
Yeah.
That's literally the only reason I'm on that podcast, is because I was there that it opened. I'm just a normal, average person who expresses his perspectives as he sees it. I live in Canada. It's not ironic. It's no surprise that I'm on this podcast. I'm often accused of cursing things. It's not true. There's zero evidence of that.
I don't believe that, by the way.
Of course not. Of course not.
I don't believe it.
I'm often accused of having bad takes. It's because other people just have bad opinions, and my opinions have to be correct.
Mm-hmm.
But more or less, that's who I am. I'm the everyman. I like to consider myself the everyman.
Well, you know what? People would say that about me too, Tim. So, I mean, there's a lot we have in common, and I'm totally with you. I can't wait to get into some of the topics we're going to talk about on this show. First off, though, we got to go down the leaderboard. All right, down the leaderboard, presented by Leaderboard. Leaderboard, by the way, is a fantastic app, and you know what? They've got some new things coming down. We've got an update actually to the Leaderboard app. So a few things that you want to look at. You can create groups with unique names, avatars, descriptions, settings, all of that stuff. So you can create these golf groups. I think that's pretty cool. You can chat within the group. This is just a great all-around app for golf for me. I like to track my stats in here, but then you have your games that you can play. You can play just regular stroke play, match play, Nassaus, all of that kind of stuff. By the way, I left up the caption here. We're going to have to take that down so you can see everything. You need to download Leaderboard, though, because it's fantastic. A lot of things that you can do. And on top of that, you can post your handicap to GHIN or GIN, whatever they call it. So download the Leaderboard app. I already forgot whatever the promo code is. I don't know. We'll see. DB's in the chat. He can put that up. But anyway, so let's take this graphic down. Down the leaderboard, though, we talk about just something on the leaderboard that I noticed, and I got to talk about Ricky Fowler a little bit, Tim.
Great. There's nothing I love more than hearing about Ricky Fowler. Everybody loves to talk about the guy who doesn't win, who isn't going to win, who hasn't won in a long time. When was the last time he finished in the top 5 of a term? But I'm supposed to pretend like Ricky Fowler walks on water. But go ahead. No, talk more about Ricky Fowler, because I'm certainly not tired of hearing about it.
Listen, Tim. All right. First off, let's talk about this. He had a top 10 last week. You know how many top 10s he's had this season?
6 or 7?
6. Very good. 6. So obviously you're paying attention to Ricky Fowler.
How can't I? Everybody keeps talking about him like he wins every week.
Well, I mean, he's
I'm
kind of
supposed to.
popular, Tim.
Oh, I understand that he's popular. He wears
Yeah.
cool Puma stuff.
Well, I agree. I don't know if
Great.
he's
Okay.
whatever there. He's got 12 top 25s this season though. So he's coming along. Do you think he can win though? Do you think
It
he's gonna
helps when half the best players on tour don't play on the PGA Tour anymore. Of course, he's doing well.
Listen, I did not want to get into a live discussion, Tim. So
No, we don't have to. We don't have to. But I'm just saying, like that. Let's understand Ricky Fowler is doing well because the pool is shorter.
Would he have a win if he was on live?
No, I don't think he's good enough to win at these tournaments right now.
Isn't he though? If he went to live, people would talk about him even more, and then you would be even more annoyed by Ricky Fowler, and maybe not as big.
Maybe.
On live, right?
I'm not big on live. That's a misnomer as well. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, I think he would be talked about a lot because people are obsessed with him because like they want to pretend like his accomplishments, which is not winning. He's really good at that. Is something that we have to start the Canadian Open not with what happened at the Memorial, not with at the odds board. But let's talk about Ricky Fowler. Okay, let's hear more about Ricky.
Are you jealous of Ricky?
Jealous of what? I mean, he and I have won the same amount of PGA Tour events in the last 5 years.
Well, I mean, he's kind of handsome. He's got a nice looking wife.
That's true. Okay.
You know, he has a lot of top 25s.
He does finish in the top 25 a lot when the best players aren't on the PGA Tour anymore. I agree.
Okay. All right. Well, I'm okay with that. Listen, though, the real winner, though, last week was Victor Hovland. And,
Sure.
you know, I know your friend Jeff Feinberg had a lot on Victor Hovland. I bet Victor at 8-1, okay, going into Sunday, a live bet. I thought plus 800 was way too much for Victor Hovland, only being one shot back. So I was excited to slam that button and bet him, and I put it in our Nut Hut. So if you're not in the Nut Hut, by the way, you got to join the Nut Hut. Join our Discord. Tim, you should get in there.
I don't know what Discord is.
Well, I mean, we can teach you Discord, right?
I have like 4 apps on my phone. I don't know what it is.
You do? You have what on your phone?
I have like 4 apps on my phone.
4 apps
that aren't like the preset ones. I don't know how to.
Oh, so you don't? Okay, you don't delete the the preset apps.
I don't.
Okay.
I don't know how.
Have you ever had an app that you can't find? Like it was there and then it just was gone, and you're like, what the hell happened to that app? So you got to search for it, and it just disappears off the screen.
I don't have enough apps, so that's a problem. I go 2 screens worth, and then I stop.
Oh, okay.
That's where my phone stops.
Man, I have too many apps, Tim. It's ridiculous. I need some organization with the apps.
And you probably have like 800,000 emails in your inbox too. I bet.
No, well,
okay.
I don't leave a lot of them unread. It's just like I can't leave a text unread either. That drives me crazy. I don't want all these numbers up there. I don't need 5,000 emails showing up in my inbox. It's going to give me anxiety. It's going to make a lot of things it just can't happen.
I agree.
All right, let's talk about the betting though this week. Victor was great, fine. Memorial, I think he was around 30-1. He was a great pick. Now I did have Denny McCarthy at 125-1, so obviously I was pulling for Denny. But really, did you think when he got to the playoff that Denny would win? I did not. But still, it was a good week for me, especially with the Victor outright after Saturday night. All right, let's talk about some bets real quick for the Canadian Open, and then we'll talk. We'll get into some more topics here, Tim. But looking at the board up to 25-1, I'm going to give you a couple that really just kind of off the top of my head I really like this week. All right,
okay.
And I got to start with this. I'm not betting Rory. All right, Rory is too short. He's at plus 450 on DraftKings. He's right around that number on some other books. I can't. I said last week that a lot of people are trying to just divorce themselves from Rory, and I get that. Now he is the back-to-back champion of the Canadian Open, and we're on a different course this week. I'll get to that in a little bit. But the thing is, Rory just can't close the door right now. He played well last week, but once again, he's a loser. Okay, I'm saying that with all due respect because I do like Rory. Your thoughts on Rory? Would you play him at plus 450 this week?
Yes, only because I think Canada is becoming a happy place for him. If there are horses for courses, Canada seems to be a warm, receptive place for Rory. He seems to play well there. He seems to enjoy the tournament. He seems to enjoy, the whole ambiance of it. It's in Southern Ontario again. It really isn't that far where his other victories have been. Rory's by far the best player in this field.
Yeah.
I'm seeing him at plus 500 right now. Like, go with him. I think it's, is he going to win this tournament one every 5 times? Yeah, probably right around there. If they played this tournament 5 times, he probably wins it one every 5 times.
Yeah, it's hard to win back to back to back, though.
It is, but also remember, like, back to back to back with a 2-year break in between, right? He won in 19, he won in 22. True. So, yes, that is true, but it's like with an asterisk.
Yeah, that's a good point, Tim. That's a good point. This is my show. You don't need to fact check me, Tim. Okay. Just saying. Okay. All right.
All right. I won't bring up another fact.
I mean, maybe if it's funny, if it's a funny, thing, you can be funny about it. But listen, I forgot. Okay. But
okay.
But here's the thing. I kind of do, like, I love Rory. I always want to bet him. I think I'll definitely play him in DFS, and I'll have a DFS show later. Which, by the way, speaking of the DFS show, if you want the course breakdown and all that kind of stuff, that's where you're going to have that. Okay, it's not going to be on this show. We're not going to talk about the course. It is a new course that we got this week at Oakdale, but we're just not gonna talk about that. We're gonna get into the picks. But here's who I do like at the top of the board if we're looking, up to 25 to 1. First off, I'm going to continue to do this. I'm continuing to bet Tommy Fleetwood. I'm seeing 22 to 1 odds is the best for him. Fleetwood is just, like, every part of his game has been clicking. I know it is. It just feels like it's like wasted money every time you bet Tommy Fleetwood, but I'm going with him this week. Tim, speaking of Feinberg, who's a winner with Victor last week, does he go back to back, get another winner? He's a big Fleetwood fan. What are your thoughts on Tommy Fleetwood?
I've never been a Tommy Fleetwood guy, going back to his performance at Shinnecock Hills, where he whined and complained about missing a putt after shooting 63. He had the exact wrong attitude after that, and I sort of soured about him on that. He's a marvelous player, but do I think he's going to win this tournament? No, because he doesn't win. Like, why would I expect somebody who doesn't win to win? Like,
yeah, but what if he wins and then you weren't on him and you?
That's okay. Then we can shake him warmly by the hand and congratulate him and wish him the best of luck. But he's got to win before I can believe he's going to win.
Well, he has won. It's just not on the PGA Tour.
Yeah, okay.
But this is a different country. It's not where most things are for the PGA.
You're right. You're right. You fact-checked me there. Very good.
Yeah.
You're right about that. I don't think it's going to happen, but I know a lot of people will be with him, and, like, good luck to them. I don't wish against anybody's fortune.
Yeah. Well, it always worries me when I bet Fleetwood, but I worry also that I may just, like, I'm going to miss out. That's how betting goes a lot too, by the way, Tim. A lot of times you bet guys because you're afraid to miss out. Victor was one last week when I bet him Saturday night, because I was like, if Denny doesn't win, I also had Rory at 16 to 1. So they're both in the final group. And I'm sitting there thinking, if I don't bet Victor at something to win this golf tournament, he comes back and wins, I'm going to be kicking myself. And that's exactly what happened, So that's how
I understand.
That's how I think about things sometimes. Okay, a couple other guys that I like. Shane Lowry, he's up here at 20 to 1. He's another one that I just continuously bet, and he'll get really close and then he won't win. But I do like Shane Lowry. I got to bet a Canadian up here. So I'm going to go with Corey Connors. And I think Corey Connors is one that, a lot of people, like, if they're playing DFS, I don't know what the ownership's going to be. I hate doing ownership projections anyway with DFS, but we don't care about that for betting. And I know he had a bad week last week and he screwed a lot of people. But I think, and now I don't even know how to even fact check this, but maybe when the last Canadian winner was of the RBC Canadian Open, because I don't know.
It's the 1950s. It's like the 1950s.
Yeah. So of any of Connors to me has the best chance in this field. Obviously, he's got the best odds. He's one of the best players in this field. So I got to say, do you like Connors this week? Do you like that number?
No, bad putter. Bad putter on a golf course that's going to be a bomb and wedge type of spot. It's going to be a putting contest. Whoever gains the most strokes putting is probably going to win this tournament. If we're being smart about it.
Yeah.
And Connors is just not very good with his flat stick compared to the other guys in the top, 15 or 20 of the odd board. So I get the logic behind it, and I get wanting to bet a Canadian because why not? But I don't think he'd be the way I'd go on that.
Who do you think? Anybody that I have not talked about in this range that just jumps off the board at you?
I picked Tigala for the one and done competition.
Okay, Tigala.
I liked him.
Tigala.
Yeah.
Thigala.
Tigala. I thought it was Tigala, but maybe it's Tigala.
The H is silent.
I could be wrong. I don't know. I just looked at his numbers, and he had a win at the shootout. He had a top 10 at the Masters, top 10 at the Heritage. I just thought, he made the cut at Oak Hill. I just thought that this would be a nice spot for him. So that's what.
And I'm always a big Tigala fan. Also, I think he's a scorer. I think this is still going to be, a birdie fest a little bit. I mean, they set it up usually pretty easy in Canada. They try to get it hard, but it just never tends to be that way. And like you said, it's going to be a little bit of a wedge contest. And when that happens, people are dropping birdies. They're dropping birdies, so you got to be a scorer. That is probably the one downside, too, about Connors. Connors can definitely score. I don't know what he had when he won earlier this year. But I agree, when you get into a putting contest, which a lot of people say this event can be, Connors may not match up. So I get that. Maybe I'm a little.
I like him better next week at Los Angeles.
I do.
Than I do this week.
I agree there. I want to talk about some things that are on my mind. But I would I want to know this. What's bothering you right now? Is there anything bothering you, Tim?
What's bothering me right now? It continues to be. Look, every time I go through the drive-through at a fast food place, the amount of places that don't have garbage cans as you're driving through drives me insane. I have garbage in my car that I want to throw out. And I feel like if I'm patronizing your establishment and I'm spending my money, the least you can do is have an accessible garbage can to the driver's side window that I can deposit my coffee cup or my stuff from last time I went through in that garbage. And the amount of places that don't have it just boggles my mind why they don't have it. It is really an inconvenience for me.
You know what? I agree with this, Tim. And how come they're always full?
Exactly. They're full because everybody wants to use them is the reason they're full.
Yeah.
Because they're awesome.
Yes. I don't even understand. How hard is it to put the trash can right there, out your left side as you're going through there, unless drive-thrus are on the right in Canada. I don't know. Are they still on the left in Canada?
Yes, and we ski to school, and we live in ice huts, and no, of course it's just like the United States.
Okay, I just didn't know. I was curious.
Okay,
but I agree. The trash cans should be there in every single drive-through line because I got trash I need to get rid of. All right, and I don't want it to be full. Send somebody out there. Look, if you're going to make people pull off to the side to get their food, which I hate also when they do that.
The worst.
Yeah, they send.
Don't make me get out of line.
Yeah.
I want my stuff.
I agree.
I'm not asking for something super crazy complicated. I want no ketchup on something, or I want lettuce on something. Like, why do I have to wait 20 minutes? No, not 20. That's an exaggeration. Why should I have to wait 5 minutes and get out of line to wait? Oh, it drives me up the wall.
And then when they do make you get out of line, it is guaranteed that you're going to wait even longer. And then for me, they're going to forget about me. They're going to forget about me, or they're going to get the order wrong, and I got to get out of my car and go inside.
The worst.
But if you're going to send somebody, into the little lane, go park in number 1 or number 2. At least that person that goes out there needs to change the trash on their way back or something. So
agreed.
If there is a trash can, which we all want,
1,000% agree.
Well,
just frustrates me to no end.
I agree. That's bothering me right now too. I didn't know that's what you were going to say when I asked that question, but that's a good one. Here's another thing I heard you talking about recently, and I think I need to talk to you about this.
Okay.
You want to be a bingo caller. Now,
I think that would be so much fun.
Yeah, but did you know I'm a bingo caller?
No, but now I want to hear about it.
Yeah, so for my real job, we have we call it bank bingo, or that's what I call it. And so every few months, I'm the bingo caller, and the winner gets a free day off or something, gift card. Maybe I don't know if they do the day off anymore, but it's all electronic.
Awesome.
Like I don't have to use my voice. Okay. So I just like put in B, 8 in the chat. We have like a little group work chat, Microsoft chat, whatever it is. So I don't have to talk, which is good. I'm okay with that. But I gotta say, I don't like bingo. I think bingo is there's no skill in it. Like what is the skill to bingo? It's dumb to me. And so I don't understand it. And then you want to come in and learn how to be this great bingo caller. And I'm a little confused by this. Like, why not be an auctioneer or something?
I think I could be an auctioneer too. In fact, I'm preempting something I was going to talk about at one point on Pat Show. I think I could be a pretty good auctioneer too. But I think you got to start baby steps, and you start with the bingo hall and you start calling numbers. Now, to me, the allure of it, like the grandeur of it, is to be able to, project that royal bearing to say B7 under the 7, B7, and then, to do all that. I just think it seems like a lot of fun. You're right. Bingo isn't a game of skill, but like there are slot machines. There's lots of things that people enjoy that have no skill to them.
That's a good point.
They're random chance. I mean, look, let's be honest, poker is mostly random chance. You don't control your cards, your opponent's cards, or the community cards. A lot of the things we enjoy in life is random chance. Doesn't make them not fun. Plus, the daubers are so cool to be able to bang around with them. I'm pro bingo.
Have you played much bingo in like in an actual bingo place?
I have played some, but I haven't played a lot, and I haven't played in a while.
Have you ever seen this? Happens to me as the bingo caller for the bank. People get really angry, even bank people, when you're just being. I mean, all I'm trying to do is throw out an I-27, and I didn't. I don't know what's coming. I got my own little thing. I spin it around, and then I get my number. The ball, and I just tell everybody what it is. But they hate the bingo caller. Can you accept that much hate? If you get up there and you're like,
have you been on my Twitter page in the past?
Well, that's true. That's true. Yeah. You're much better at me than accepting the hate, I think.
I get blamed for things that I have zero control over all the time. So this would just be another thing that people would blame me for. You want to think that I'm in cahoots against Mildred from getting the cross symbol on her bingo card? Go ahead. Whatever. It doesn't bother me. I'm just pulling numbers. I don't get a cut of this. I'm just doing it for fun, for the glory of it.
Is there something you tell yourself whenever you get hate? Just that, what's the guy on Saturday Night Live? Like, you're good enough. You're smart enough. And doggone it, people like you, Tim. Do you say that to yourself?
I get so much that you just learn to shrug your shoulders after a while.
Yeah.
You just go, whatever, right? And I'll have people yell at me, then reach out to me in the DMs later and apologize. I'm like, whatever. I don't care, man. This is Twitter. Who cares?
Yeah, it is. Twitter's an amazing thing. All right. Well, we got some more topics that I want to bring up, but let's move on to, we're going to talk about the next range. But first, let me get to another ad. Okay. And I'm going to see if I can find this thing. These are called graphics. Picket. All right. Join Picket. Tim, you should probably join Picket. They're an app that you can go on and you can track all your betting. So if you go on to Picket, you download the app for free. Use code TJ. It supports all kinds of different things. You can see it in the graphic here. All right. Or there are people listening, though, so I guess I should describe it. But you got DK, FanDuel, PointsBet, all the books out there, Underdog, Prize Picks. You can link these to your Picket page, and then you can track all your betting, see how you're doing. It is a good way to do that. I always say, you can't get better at what you're doing if you're a gambler or at anything, really. If you play golf, using the leaderboard app to track your stats. If you don't know what you're bad at, you can never get better. So, you can't focus on the things that you're great at, right? So that's one of the things I like about Picket. It can always track everything. So download the Picket app. Use code TJ. Okay. All right. Let's talk about some bets up to the 75-1 range. Now, this is an interesting range to me because there are a lot of different ways that you can go. There's several Canadians in here, so we could talk about some of those. And then we also got some guys that are, well, for one, we got this Ludwig van Beethoven Aberg, the former amateur, that is now not an amateur, I believe. This is his first Pro Tour event as a pro. He has played other events in the past, but he is 66-1. I don't believe in doing that. I'm not going to go. This isn't the LPGA and Rose Zane coming out, guys. Okay. All right. Who has had a chance to win? I don't even know if she won yesterday, but she had a chance. I don't think Aberg's winning. All right. But here's who I think can win. I got a few in here that I like. For one, Tigala is at 33-1. So we're getting him a little bit longer. I like those odds for him. He scores a lot. I like him this week. A couple others. I like Adrian Meronk. He is at 50-1, just a solid player, European Tour, and now he's playing more on the PGA Tour. So I like Adrian Meronk. He's another one that I think you should bet. Another one, Eric Cole. Eric Cole is 75-1. This guy just continues week in and week out to play extremely well. Just a very solid player. So I think he's one that you should look at also this week. You got your guys like Adam Hadwin. I can't ever get Adam Hadwin right, Tim. When is the right time to bet Adam Hadwin? Maybe it's a putting contest like this week, right?
Maybe. The pressure will be so great on someone like that. Like, it's funny, Canada's not a huge golf country, but there does seem to be quite a bit of pressure that does get heaped upon Canadians when they're vying in this tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That he's got to have nerves of steel down the stretch to make those putts. I certainly would trust him more with a putter in his hand than Connors, and I don't think it's a terrible bet. But I'm anxious about all the Canadians this week. Pulling for them, sure, it'd be nice to see one win, but it's very difficult.
Yeah, Adam Svensson's another one. He's at 66-1. Adam Svensson, he really screwed me last week. I had a great lineup in DK, and he was the one that missed the cut. And I think the thing about Svensson, though, is he's got sort of something off in his brain, Tim. Like he's not the smartest tool in the tool shed, but for me, that's not a bad thing with golf because it helped. Like you probably forget things easier, right?
You have to have the mentality of a starting pitcher, right? You just have to be able to forget the shot you just hit because the only shot that really matters, the only one that counts, is the one you're about to hit.
Yeah, and that's why I think Adam Svensson forgets easily. Like he just he saw a shot. And it was a bad one. Then all of a sudden he's thinking about something else, or a squirrel goes up a tree or something and just distracts him, and he doesn't know what to do. So he's just on to the next shot. So I think Svensson could be a pretty good play at 66-1. I don't care what he did last week. I'm going to be back on him this week. So we'll, anybody else in this range, like up to 75-1, that just kind of jumps out to you that when you're looking at the odds.
I had a star next to Nikolai Højgaard.
I like that. Any reason in particular? Because
he made the cut at the PGA and didn't play too badly. He played well at Corrales. He played decently in Mexico and in Valero. He seems like the sort of player who sort of fits this track a little bit. And he's young, and I don't think we'll be intimidated by the fact that there's going to be a big crowd and a national audience. And he's too young to know better in a lot of ways. I think I don't know a lot about him, but I look at his numbers here. I think he's a reasonable play.
Yeah, I looked at him too. I believe it was when Matt Wallace won. Was that Corrales? You said that earlier. Was it his second place? Yeah. When he was right there on the leaderboard with a chance to win. A couple things, though, too, when you look at his stats. I mean, he's a very good putter. He's top 25 in the field when you look at putting on bent grass greens. He's 10th in the field in birdie or better percentage. So when you look at a potential scoring fest this week, I think Højgaard could certainly fit in that category. So I do like him as well. I'm totally with you. All right, so that's that range. I got a few other things I need to talk about.
Okay.
Tim, I'm tired of hearing about shows. All right. I am so tired of shows. I am not a show person. Okay. I know what you don't know what I'm talking about, but here's what I'm talking about. Okay. I'm forced to hear about Yellowstone and Succession and Game of Thrones and all of these damn shows that everybody's watching, except me. And I'm not jealous. I'm not saying this because I'm jealous, Tim. I'm tired of hearing about shows, and I don't care about them. And the whole damn world is watching them. It's all you see on Twitter. Why do I have to watch a show? Okay, why can't I watch something else? Like, why do I have to be a show person?
So,
I don't.
Two things. First, nobody is actually watching any of these shows. If you look at the actual viewership for these shows, they're infinitesimal. The Masked Singer probably gets 10 times the viewership that any of these shows get on a regular basis. Secondly, you don't need to watch them. The thing about these shows is that they are they burn bright for like what seems like 6 months, and then no one ever talks about them again. And if you miss them, unless they happen to have real staying power, and it almost never happens, then you haven't missed anything. And if they really are like culturally important, then you know what? You will catch up on them because 5 years from now, 8 years from now, people will be talking about them. And so the only ones that you'll catch up and watch in 5, 8, 10 years times are the ones that were worth you investing your time in anyway. And you didn't have to worry about the fluff that everyone said you have to watch this show that dozens of people are watching on BBC America. But then no one talks about it 3 weeks later because, again, no one watched it, and you're no worse off for it. I mean, so I'm more or less with you.
Yeah, are they really that good? Because everybody on Twitter or whatever is like, this is the best show I've ever seen. I don't know.
Anytime someone tells you this is the best show they've ever seen, I mean, I almost would not listen to them. Because, almost nothing is going to be the best you've ever saw. That's just living in the moment.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, now, Seinfeld.
People don't watch shows.
Well, I don't think they do either.
People don't watch shows. Yeah. Some people do. Very small amount of people do. But most of us, I watch television. I don't watch shows. I flip my TV on at 8 o'clock and I just watch what's on almost without any particular objective, unless there's a sporting event on. I just watch TV. Whatever NBC has on or whatever, that's what I'm watching for a while.
Yeah, I'm the same. Or I flip to a Braves game or something. I'm going to watch.
Sure.
Like, I don't need to have all this intensity with the show, for one.
You don't need to.
I don't.
There's a cultural elitism to it that you can just cut right through by not watching it.
Yes.
And again, and if it really is that,
right.
And if it really is that great, watch it in 8 years' time, and then you'll be no worse off.
These elitist show people.
Oh, yeah, there is an elitism to it that if you're not watching it, well, I don't live on the Upper West Side of Manhattan. I am not a cultural elite. The average Joe who watches TV that the average Joe watches, and I'm not ashamed about that.
Yeah, I am.
And you shouldn't be ashamed about it either.
Okay, well, thank you. I needed that because I'm tired of it. My wife shames me for no show watching. I don't need that.
Television doesn't exist for you to watch shows. It exists for you to watch. Shows are just, they come with the package.
I'm totally with you there. All right, I guess we should move on. Let's get into the next range. Before we get into the next range, we got some other people to talk about. All right. Now this is SoBet. I love SoBet, by the way. SoBet is a fantastic site, app, whatever you want to call it. They got great content. They got a lot of content providers that come in onto SoBet. They vet all these guys, so you can't even be or girls, guys and girls. You can't be a content provider on SoBet without getting vetted. So you got folks like that do baseball, Tim. You got golf. You got football. You got all the things, all right? So it's fantastic. Go into SoBet, use the code TJ, and just try it out, all right? Join everybody that's cashing a bunch of tickets in this app. And that's because, look, I don't know everything about golf, Tim. I mean, people may think I do, but I don't. So, David's on SoBet, and he lets you know a few things that he knows. But then what is really valuable for me is because I can go in there and follow people and get some good advice from baseball, because I love baseball. Love to bet baseball. I'm doing fantasy baseball for the first time ever this year, which is way more detailed than I ever thought it would be. But anyway, lots of content on SoBet. Go join those folks because they are fantastic. Great partners of ours. All right, let's move on. We're going to talk about up to 130 to 1. I actually think you could see some winners in here, Tim. Like, I don't like. There are a lot of tournaments where I'm looking at, like last week at Memorial, and we're doing these shows every single week, and a lot of them you just get to this point, and you're thinking to yourself in your mind, well, I got to give some plays, but I just don't believe anybody in this range can win. Last week, I thought we were going to get somebody like a Victor Hovland or a Rory to win. Victor won. Rory was in the last group. Luckily, now I guess we did have Denny Hamlin. Denny McCarthy. Denny Hamlin's a NASCAR. Are you surprised I knew who a NASCAR driver was, Tim?
No, I'm not surprised. Atlanta Motor Speedway isn't that far away, right?
No, it's not. So, yeah, Denny Hamlin. Anyway, McCarthy was up there, but did not win. So there was a guy up there that could win. But I think there are some guys this week in this range that I think we could look at. And I'll bring up a few here. So we're looking at 76-1 to 130-1 up in this range. I think there's a few here. One, I like Joseph Bramlett. Joseph Bramlett is at 80-1, so he's on the front end of this range. He's a guy that's, I feel like is just consistently, up there in a lot of events. He hasn't won yet. I get that. But the dude can score. So I do think Joseph Bramlett is one that we could look at 80-1. And where am I? Why can't I find him? Did he withdraw? This happens to me all the time, Tim, by the way. Somebody will withdraw and I didn't see it. And DB has to fact check me and tell me what happened to him. And now I can't find him. So maybe he's in here somewhere. Anyway, all right, we'll move on from him. Another guy that I like, Aaron Rai. Aaron Rai is another one. He is at 110-1. He's another scorer. He's another one that I kind of on Aaron Rai last week. He missed the cut, but he did have that T12 at the Charles Schwab. I think Aaron Rai could also be another good play this week. He is at 110-1. Also, Brendan Todd is at 100-1. Brendan Todd's one of those guys that I do think when you get into, potential scoring, he's a great ball striker for one. But that dude can score. Like he seems boring to a lot of folks. But if you look at like when he was just getting back on the tour after going through some things a few years ago, I mean, he was like 25, 26 under when he won again. The dude can get on a hot streak and score. So I do like some Brendan Todd as well. So anyway, I think he's a good one that we could look at also. Anybody off the top of your head, Tim, that you like in this sort of?
It's just a hunch play. I don't even know how well. And I'm sure they don't. In fact, I'm sure they don't correlate very well. A place like where they play the Valspar or even API. But I kind of like Webb Simpson this week. I don't know. Just call it a hunch. He hasn't been playing very well. He played poorly at Oak Hill. He barely made the cut at the Wells Fargo. He didn't make the cut at the Heritage. I understand. That's why his odds are extraordinarily long. I just feel like he, has an experience of winning big tournaments. You're getting really long odds on him, so I like Webb Simpson, but I don't have any particular reason beyond just a gut hunch.
Yeah, I agree. I think Webb eventually is going to get it back together. He's a proven winner on tour, and not very long ago. I mean, people forget it was 2019, but when he won the Players Championship.
2018, I think. 2019 was Rory, I think. So 2018.
Okay. So, again, I guess we are getting on 5 years here, but Webb is, he's still a super talented player, has gone through a little bit with his game lately, but I agree. I think he certainly can win. We got some Canadians in here. We do. We got, Nick Taylor. Everybody loves Nick Taylor. He's maybe at like 80-1. Then you've got, like Mackenzie Hughes, who drives me crazy. Mackenzie Hughes never does what I want him to do. And anytime I bet him, it just has to be at random times because I never can feel like he's that consistent. But I do like Mackenzie Hughes. And then I like Taylor Pendrith a ton, but he's sort of like fallen off everybody's radar. So if you're going to go with a Canadian in here, like Nick Taylor, Pendrith, those guys, who's your favorite out of those in this range?
I think Pendrith. He's played a little bit better the last few weeks of those guys. I think I would take Pendrith.
Yeah, I think I'm with you there. All right, so here's a couple things I need to talk about.
Okay.
All right, Tim, what do you think about hibachi restaurants? Because there's like, if you go to hibachi, all right, and I'm talking about the ones that cook in front of you, and you got to go to this hibachi and you got to sit down with all these strangers. Okay. Let's say you got 2 people and you go into a hibachi and you're just going to, I mean, what other restaurant are they just going to say, all right, we're going to sit you with 6 random strangers? Okay. And what's the protocol here? What are we supposed to do? Like, am I supposed to ignore them? Or am I supposed to like exchange pleasantries and then go about my business with
Never been to one. Never been to one. Never been to one. But here's what I would do. If I were to a restaurant and was seated with people I didn't know, and if I was like by myself, I would put in my ear pods and not talk to them.
No, but you got to interact because the cook.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you do, Tim.
What, were they going to throw me out?
I don't know. I don't know if they allow AirPods or headphones.
Well, then this is just not the place for me.
Well, you got to go to try it.
I've never been to one of these places. I don't know if there's one of these places around me.
They have hibachis in Canada.
I don't dispute that they do. Okay. They just, if there were concentric circles of restaurants I go to and hibachi restaurants, those 2 circles don't interlap. That Venn diagram doesn't have an interlap. I just have never had that experience.
You don't want to have somebody cooking some food in front of you.
Not particularly.
I kind of onion volcano with some, the
closest thing for me is the Subway sandwich artist. That's as close as I want for people cooking food in front of me, assembling it. That I'm comfortable with.
You can't compare a chef at a hibachi restaurant with the Subway.
No, you're right. The Subway's probably 10 times more tasty. I agree with you on that. There's probably no comparison.
Listen, no, this is all right. Look, first off, we got to get you to a hibachi town. All right?
Okay, I mean, I'm not opposed to going. It's just not something that's in my realm.
If you sat with strangers, though, and they forced you, because they forced you to this, what would you do? Like, let's just say you're going into a hibachi. All right, this is your first time. You're with Pat Mayo or something.
Okay.
All right, and they're going to sit you with strangers. That's what they do. You got 8 people at a table, and there's a big flat, skillet in front of you.
Yeah.
Okay. What are you doing with these strangers? Are you gonna so you're just putting the headphones in? Or
if I can get away with it, if I'm there with my friend, I'm just talking to them. I don't know these people.
They're not even there.
I am not on the campaign trail. This is not the New Hampshire primary. I don't need to glad hand all these people at restaurants I don't know. I am here to eat and go home. The reason you go to dinner with friends and people you know is so that you can have a conversation with people that you know. Why would I want to go to dinner with people that I don't know randomly? To network with people I don't know? That's not me. That's not where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
For food that, probably isn't that fantastic.
And they're celebrating a birthday or something that you're not really a part of.
And what am I supposed to do? Sing happy birthday to this person that I've never met? How sincere is that? How sincere is that? How excited is the person on the other end getting a happy birthday that this person who's never met you and will almost certainly never meet you again is, congratulating you on your birthday? Birthdays are overrated to begin with. I don't even understand why we really celebrate them. Everyone has one. So what? Not a big deal.
I agree. And look, I'm with you. There's a lot of things about hibachis that drive me crazy. Now I do like the food though. And I kind of like the.
So what's a normal dish you would get at a
You get a lot of fried rice and you get vegetables on the skillet. You get to choose chicken or steak. I usually do the steak and shrimp. I do the combos because they got shrimp and stuff. But that's it.
How is this any better than Panda Express?
Well, I don't know. That's a pretty good question.
Because then I'd rather just go to the mall food court and have Panda Express.
Well, yeah, but they don't cook it in front of you, Tim.
No, but they assemble it in front of me. That's just as good.
Well, that's true.
There's no allure to me to having the food cooked in front of me.
There's no
I don't need it.
Volcano onion at a Panda Express.
You're right. And yet I somehow live my life in a particular way, not having had that experience.
Do you think if you were at a hibachi though, would do you feel like you got to use the chopsticks?
Yes, I'm pro chopstick. When I have Chinese food or Thai food or whatever, I'm a chopstick person.
Just making sure. I didn't know if you were going to use a utensil. Do you look down upon the utensil users?
Yes.
I do too.
For the most part. I mean, if you're physically not able to hold a utensil or like it's difficult, that's perfectly understandable.
Yeah.
But if you're an able-bodied 35-year-old, you
Yeah.
should know how to use chopsticks.
I agree. You should.
It's not that
You
hard.
should.
If I can
No.
do it and I have no dexterity or talent, if I
Yeah.
can do it, you can do it.
100%.
That's how I eat my Cheetos too, with chopsticks. You don't get the orange stuff all over your hands that way.
What? Wait a second.
100%.
You eat Cheetos with chopsticks?
Yeah, because I hate having that stuff all over my hands. So this alleviates that problem. I always get like the extra sets of chopsticks when I get Chinese food or whatever, and I'll just break out those extra chopsticks and use them. It's a plus EV move, as they say in the business.
Is what? Wait a second.
Because in your hands, I hate my hands getting dirty. It bothers me a great deal. And this is a way to avoid that. Because that stuff doesn't come off in one wash either. It sticks around.
No.
Like, be a little
I feel
civilized.
like it would be hard to hold a Cheeto with a chopstick.
Not hard at all. Not hard at all. How's it any different than picking up a piece of ginger beef?
Is it? But then, are you doing one Cheeto at a time, or can you actually? Are you skilled enough to multiple Cheeto it with?
I've never tried multiple. I'm sure I could. I mean, how hard could it be? It's just chopsticks. But yeah, it's usually one at a time.
That's just, I didn't expect this. I don't know. I may have to try that though.
You should, and then once you've been converted, you'll be like, "This is actually brilliant, and why wouldn't I have done it this way?"
Here's where I have a problem, because a lot of times when I'm eating a Cheeto, it tends to be after a few drinks. So I feel like it becomes harder to chopstick a Cheeto
Maybe
when you got some drinks in you. That's
that
what
could be. I'm not a big drinker. I don't drink that often.
Okay,
so
yeah, I know.
I'm not eating Cheetos. After having a couple of drinks,
All right, so here's what I'll do. I'll report back to him.
Okay.
The next time I'm going in on some Cheetos, but I've had a few drinks, I'll let you know how good I can chopstick them.
All right. Well, I'd be fascinated to know. Once you're converted, you'll tell all your friends.
All right. Well, this is amazing. All right, let's talk about some bombs over 130 to 1. Then I'm going to give you my top 26 pack, and then we've got some time. I got to get into some pontificates. All right. So, one of the things, if anybody reads the Chalk Bomb email, by the way, if you have not subscribed to the Chalk Bomb, you need to. A lot of fantastic information in the Chalk Bomb. Just go to the website, go to the bottom of the page on the right-hand side, put your email in there, and you can subscribe to the Chalk Bomb. But I give my pontificates with Pat. So I've got a few that I want to run by Tim. Maybe he's got some that he can think of off the top of his head, because I didn't tell him that he needed to come prepared with anything. But you may have some when you start to hear some of mine. So we'll go over some pontificates to close the show. Then we'll be done, Tim. But let's go over a few bombs over 130 to 1. I've just got a couple, really. Okay. One is Mark Hubbard. Mark Hubbard continues to play fantastic golf week in and week out. He is a great scorer. We know that. He's just, it's only a matter of time for me. And now that's what you're getting when you're looking at these bombs over 130 to 1. All of these guys, unless they're, somebody like a Webb or something, it's only a matter of time. That's kind of what we're given here. Like Denny McCarthy last week, second year on tour. It's only a matter of time. And it almost was last week. Damn it. Almost had that. But Mark Hubbard is 150 to 1. I like him. I like how he's played lately. I think he is a very good bet there. And I think if you want to top 20 him, you can. I don't see the numbers on that, but I bet it's around like 3 to 1, something in that area. Another guy that I think is fantastic is Carson Young. Carson Young has been playing great golf. You look at his last 4 events, he's got 3 top 20 finishes in those last 4 events. So I think Carson Young is another one that we can look at. Also, he is 250 to 1 for Carson Young to win. Let me look real quick, see if I see any others that are just off the top of my head in here. There's just a hodgepodge of guys here at the Canadian Open, Tim. There's a lot of different golfers. Austin Smotherman's in the field. We've seen some good things. Might be a potential first round leader bet. He's at 280 to 1. Actually, I see him at 300 to 1 points bet. He has not had the greatest events lately. Could be a first round leader. But anybody for you, Tim, just looking at long shots, 150 to 1 and long, or anybody kind of jump off the page at you?
Callum Tarrant.
Okay. Canadian?
He's
not
he's
Canadian.
British. He's English.
British. Yeah.
He either blows up or plays decently. And he blows up far more frequently than he plays decently. But, he was top 30 at the PGA Championship, top 25 at Farmers, second at the RSM. I mean, then he, and then he got cut for a while. But top 64 at Wells Fargo, yes, he's not great. That's why the odds are long. He played really well for 10 seconds at the PGA Championship. And was actually, in second place for a bit on Thursday. You're asking me for a super long bomb, that's where I'd go.
I don't mind it. Taryn's one that he's kind of, I like him. I never feel like I get him right, but that's what you're just going with some random plays in here. So I'm totally with you. All right, I'm going to get into my top 10 locks or top 20 locks, and then a bomb 4-1 and longer for top 20, and then we'll get into some pontificates, or as our buddy Josh Kistler said, pontificust. So we can put that in there too. All right, top 20 locks. Here's mine. By the way, last week, the top 20 locks were, I had, speaking of Canadians, Corey Connors, miscut. I had Sahith Theegala. He did not finish in the top 20. And then I had Austin Eckroat was my bomb. He was close. He was 30th. DB, though, hit both of his locks. He had Ricky Fowler, top 20. Tim.
Who doesn't?
I know. But he had him at plus 165, and he also had Terrell Hatton at plus 125. I can't remember who the bomb was, but the bomb didn't hit. But both those players did hit. So here are my top 20 locks this week. First off, I'm going to go with Tommy Fleetwood. He is even money. So Tommy Fleetwood, even money. I like that. Then I'm going to go with Adam Svensson at plus 210. I like that. I think Svensson's going to have a good week. I really do. For the bomb, so 4-1 and longer, I got to go with Carson Young. My boy Carson Young, plus 500. Like I said, if you're just going by his history the last few weeks, and we're trying to get a top 20, he's doing that. T21, T14, T15. That's 3 of his last 4 events. All right. The trend is there for him to potentially get another top 20. I like him at plus 500. Tim, I don't know if you got any in front of you for top 20s.
I don't.
But so nothing from you.
No.
That's okay. That's all right. I didn't ask you for that. So, it's okay. All right. Tim, I got to talk about some pontificates. All right.
Okay.
We're going to run through these. And see what you think. First off, this is really what started pontificate for me. Okay, so this is my probably one of the first ever pontificate thoughts. I cannot stand people who don't take their shopping carts back to...
Right to jail immediately. Right to jail.
There should be a cop out there taking people to jail for it.
100% agreed. How lazy are you that you're just going to leave your shopping cart either on the culvert or in a parking space or something? The worst. It's worst behavior.
It is awful behavior. If you're not taking people to jail for that, then there should be a big billboard somewhere, at the grocery store or whatever, saying this person, lazy, non-shopping cart taker back person.
One of the grocery stores around here used to have this thing where you had to insert a $1 coin into the shopping cart to use it. And then you got the coin back as soon as you put the shopping cart back in the corral. Mm-hmm. And you turn the key and you got the coin back.
Yeah.
And what did that mean? That people brought their shopping carts back because otherwise they'd lose their $1.
Yeah, I'm 100% agree. All right, here's another one. Why did cereal innovation just die in the 90s? Like, we had all these cereals coming out in the 80s and 90s, and they're gone. They're still here, but when's the last time a new cereal came out?
I can't remember the last time. They're all renovations of the same thing. Oh, here's a different type of Cheerio. Here's a different type of Special K Flake. Here's a different type of I have to assume it's because cereal just isn't something that younger people are eating, and therefore there's zero desire for renovation. That it is all 33-year-olds who never grew up who are eating cereal at 4 a.m. That there's no need for this innovation.
So it just ran its course, and nobody has any sort of creative thoughts when it comes to a new cereal anymore.
I guess so. I mean, I can't think of any off the top of my head.
I can't either. That's why
it may be exhausting. I mean, sometimes ideas just become exhausted.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I would love for somebody to come out with a new cereal that people liked. Here's another one. I think cottage cheese is a dying cheese.
It is. It's delicious. Particularly when it's I used to get when I was younger, the cottage cheese with the pineapple on the bottom that you'd mix up. Oh my God, that was so good. But now, unless you're like having lasagna, where I see a lot of people put it in, you don't see cottage cheese very often. I agree with you. It is a dying cheese. And it's deeply unfortunate because it's actually quite delicious.
I don't know if I could say it's delicious, but
Okay, well, I will. I'll say it's delicious.
But yeah, you can say it, and I have to admit that I haven't had cottage cheese in a while because it's not top of mind, obviously, because I think it's a dying cheese.
You're right.
I had a Latin teacher growing up, Tim, that if you called Latin a dying language, she would almost want to slap you because that's what that word. I mean, she didn't believe it was a dying language. Most people would disagree, but
what year did you go to school that you had Latin class?
I was in the 90s.
Okay, because I too went to school in the 90s, and that was not a thing.
Well, you took Latin class, Tim, so that you could find the roots of a word that would help you for your SATs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's why you did that.
Okay.
But anyway, I think cottage cheese is a dying cheese.
You're right, and it's unfortunate.
Yeah, it is. All right, so I think there's two types of people in this world. There's a dish towel people who have dish towels, and that's what they use. That's how they dry their hands. That's how they wipe their counters. And then there's paper towel people. Okay, so I have to admit, Tim, I'm a dish towel person.
Gross. Yeah. No, gross. Yeah. Ah,
yeah.
Think of no. Dish towel can be used one time, then into the wash it has to go.
No, you got multiple things.
No. Ugh, gross. I mean, I guess if you're using it to dry off the dishes as they come out of the dishwasher, that's fine because every dish that you're wiping the water off of is clean. Perfectly fine.
I think of it as clean on clean, clean on clean. But then
people don't use it that way. They wash their hands really quickly in the sink and then they use the dish towel to dry their hand. No, gross, disgusting. No, that's why the good Lord invented paper towels so that I didn't have to touch those sorts of things.
Okay.
Not hygienic.
I get it. Ugh. I get it. Okay. All right. Here's another couple ones for me. I don't understand why the computer mouse is still a thing. Like, I feel like we could do something. You talk about innovation. I feel like we could have something different than a mouse.
I hate computer mice. I suppose that's the plural. Yeah. I hate them. A few times when I will go into my office and they've got the mouse that you can hook your laptop up to use, it's like this feels like so arcane. Yeah. I might as well have a printer where I rip off the perforated edges with the holes. It's awful. My finger is always going to be more precise on a trackpad than or with that button in the middle, which I also like. I find that to be
I don't mind the button either.
I use the button or my finger on the trackpad. I can be 1,000 times more precise than I can with a big clunky mouse. They're dumb. Get rid of them.
I'm totally with you there. And you know what I hate too is when I'm using a mouse and I can't find the cursor. Like the cursor disappears for God knows what reason.
Worst. And I mean, I'm not a tech person. This happens to me all the time.
Yeah, I agree. It's so stupid. Here, another one. Who has Sharpies in a bathroom? Like, why? If you're going, like, you see, like, if you go to a gas station. Yeah, if you go to a gas station bathroom. Now, Tim.
Which I do not do.
I know you don't go. You probably don't. You got to find. Listen, I listened to a recent show. You didn't even go into the McDonald's bathroom. You found another bathroom next to the McDonald's,
which I knew would be significantly cleaner. Yes,
So this one probably doesn't resonate because if you go into a gas station bathroom, there's like writing on the walls with Sharpies, and I just don't know who brings a Sharpie into a bathroom.
Oh, okay. So I know what you're talking about, like the people who write stuff on stalls or whatever.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Like,
I have no idea. How bored are you? Like, you're in one of the grossest places on earth. You just need to do what it is you're there to do and get out as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
I don't have time to leave carvings on the wall like an ancient civilization. I need to get out of that place because it's filthy.
I'm with you 100%. All right, this is my last one, and then I'm gonna give it to you to have a stage for it. If you don't have any, that's fine.
I got one for sure.
Okay. All right. So we'll get to that. But here's my last one. Edible arrangements drive me up the freaking wall. I cannot stand them.
I'll go farther. I don't even like cakes that look nice.
I don't know who wants an edible arrangement as a gift.
Nobody.
Nobody does. All right. It's way too much fruit. Okay. You can't fit them in the refrigerator anyway. So it's just going to go bad. All right. And then you're like being forced to like it and eat all this fruit that you can't even eat.
Awful.
It's the
Awful.
worst concept in the world.
Awful.
I can't stand edible arrangements.
Who would buy? I mean, I don't understand it.
Yeah.
It's very flashy. It's a very peacock move to get somebody an edible arrangement.
Yeah.
It's a gift they can't really enjoy. Just give me the money.
Yeah. 100% agree. All right. Oh, this is good. All right, Tim, what do you have? You got any pontificates?
I was just last week to one of the nicest golf courses in Canada, the Cabot courses.
Okay.
And it occurred to me that one of the things I like the least about golfing is having to put my own tee peg in the ground. And I would like there to be a service where you could have a valet at the tee box where they would put your tee and ball in the ground for you. The way a caddy recommends for you, a club and a line and a distance. There should be someone at every tee box to provide and see, okay, what club are you going to hit here, Tim? I'm going to hit driver. Okay, well then here's the tee and the ball, and here's where it should be. And they put it in for you. So I don't have to bend down and put the tee peg in the ground. I believe that people should just do that for me. I think that would make my enjoyment of golf that much better if nice golf courses would just put the peg in the ground for me.
Interesting. But what if they don't put it in at the right height that you like?
But you know what? They're the expert. They're the ones who know what height my tee should be at. Because, I'm one of these people where I just use the plain regular tees. And so it's always a guessing game as to exactly how far my tee is in the ground. I mean, if I'm hitting an iron or something, I know it's got to be like that far off. But if it's a driver, am I off a half inch here and a quarter inch there? All the time. So I'm just guessing as it is. Let the professionals do it. And then I don't have to bend over.
So is it strictly like a bend over thing, or is it
partly? It's annoying, the whole thing.
Yeah.
I'm too imprecise to get it right, and it's an exertion of effort I don't want to make. And so they should have somebody who tells me where the right spot to peg it in. They know where the flat spot on the tee box is. There's nothing worse than going to a tee box and having to find a flat space. So yeah, you should have a valet at every tee box that puts your tee in. That'd be really nice.
Yeah, I've never thought of that before.
I'm looking to reduce the labor that I have to put into things.
Yeah, I don't, I hear what you're saying. I feel like I'm a little bit much of a control freak, though, to let somebody do that portion for me. Like, I get it, when you have caddies and stuff, like they can read putts and they do all this stuff for you, to carry in the bag, whatever. I feel like they're going to get my tee wrong. That's what worries me. They're going to do something that screws up my tee. But I will say this: if I could have one on the first tee, I'd be okay with it, because
that would be nice.
I'm a little more nervous, and I don't want to, especially if I'm playing in a big group and I'm shaking on the first tee and I'm trying to get that ball down there and the ball pops off like 5 different times. I think if you could have them at least for the first few holes, and then maybe they go and they recycle back to the next, to somebody behind them.
It'd be really nice.
I think that would be nice. So
it would just make the experience that much more pleasant.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I hadn't really thought about that, but that's certainly something that's interesting. Any other things come to your mind?
Why can't my remotes automatically sync to each other all the time with my television? I shouldn't have to have, as I do, 3 separate remotes to turn this on. This turns the TV on. This turns the cable box on. This turns the Apple TV thing on. Why can't it all just be in one remote that I can use? Why doesn't it talk to each other through the Bluetooth, or you jailbreak one of the remotes so that it talks to each other or something? I don't know, but it's so frustrating to have them. Anytime someone's over to your house, they're like, you always have to be the person who turns the TV on for them, because they're not going to be able to figure out the backwards machinations you have to use to get your TV on. It's frustrating. In 2023, it should just work for me.
Yeah. Well, I agree. And you know what? It doesn't, like, if you have a remote like that, and I see, DB's in here in the chat. He's just saying, this is smart ass DB. It's called a universal remote.
I don't know what that is. I don't know what those are. I've never seen those. What's a universal remote?
And then if you have a universal remote, if I'm thinking of one, it's got to look like one of those, trigonometry calculator.
If there's like 1,000 buttons on it, I don't want it.
Why do you need that many buttons on a remote control?
You don't.
No.
Don't. It's confusing. You hit the wrong buttons all the time. I don't want that. I want it simple, and I want it done for me.
Yeah. You only need you need volume up and down, channel up and down, and maybe like 3 or 4 other buttons.
Mute,
the
on,
back.
off, and the 10 digits.
Yeah.
That's
That's
enough.
it.
That's it. That's all I need.
I totally agree.
I don't want a smart TV. I want a dumb TV. I want a
Yeah.
TV that turns on.
And the remote should just automatically pair up with everything.
Every time, all the time, without any labor on my part.
You don't need to do anything. You don't need to like go look and pull out the instructions and find the code for this TV and that.
And the
TV.
remote should be, you should be able to charge them. They shouldn't be battery powered. In this day and age, why am I using AA batteries? They should be remotes that I can just plug into the wall to charge electronically.
Anything electronic for me needs to be very easy. And also, but here's the thing. And
because the average person can't figure it out.
Yeah, but it also like we have the capability in this world to make it easy. It doesn't have to be that difficult.
Yes, that's what frustrates me. Everyone's like,
"Oh, there's so much." We got to struggle through all of this.
All of it, and then instead of being helpful, people are like, "Oh, well, you can just buy this remote that no one's ever heard of. Why don't you do that?" Oh, yeah, well, why don't I do that thing that no one's ever heard of? Sorry.
Yeah. See. This is I'm totally with you here on this, Tim. All right, I don't have anything else.
No,
I think
it's been a
great RBC Canadian show. We've solved a lot of problems here. Maybe we've brought up some new problems.
It's great to be on a podcast where somebody sort of sees things the way I see them.
Yeah,
it's a breath of fresh air, I have to say.
Well,
it's very different from the experiences that I usually go through, which is opposite than this.
Yeah, well, listen, Tim, and I knew this would happen. I knew you and I were kindred spirits. Now, we may not always agree, but kindred spirits don't always agree on everything.
That's right. No, that's right.
We don't. So we're going to have to do this again. I appreciate you coming on, taking time out of your day to do this. I didn't give you hardly any kind of prep at all. Actually, I gave you zero prep.
That's how I go into the shows usually. So
well, that's the best thing. I love it. So Tim, I hope you have a great week. Again, appreciate you coming on. And all right, that's all I got.
My sincere pleasure.
Thank you, Tim.